Station Houston on 2 for Wadi, 2 minutes out from the PAO event. Copy your thumbs up. Station Houston on 2 for Wadi, can you pan the camera left just a touch? That works. We like it. Thanks. Hey, Wadi, we're ready to start when you are. Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Station is ready for the event.
Meet the press now. This is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Chuck Todd with Meet the Press Now. How do you hear me?
Hello, I have you loud and clear. How about me?
I am ready to go. So I will begin now. First question is simple. This is always an honor to do these things. Jessica Watkins, walk me through a day in the life. Tell me about what an average 24 hours is for you.
Yeah, so it seems like a simple question, but actually what's interesting about it is that every day up here is different. And that's one of the true privileges of being up here, is that we get to have our hands in so many different cookie jars that every day we could be waking up and doing a lot of science, doing maintenance, we exercise as well, or doing any number of activities with our international partners. So every day is different because of just how much the diversity of things that we're doing up here on the ISS. Even within each one of those categories, in terms of science, our recent visiting vehicle, SpaceX 25, the Dragon that just came up about a week ago, brought with it so much new science that we've gotten to dig into in the past week or so. As well as kind of the robotics piece of the external payloads that SpaceX 25 brought up as well. So we have a lot to keep ourselves busy up here.
I'm curious, tell me about downtime. How do you find downtime? Do you schedule it? You talked about exercising, and I get that, but reading, binging TV shows. Tell me about your downtime.
Absolutely, we are human beings, and definitely need our R&R, our rest and recovery. Though up here, when we say R&R, we usually mean remove and replace as part of a maintenance activity. But the other kind of R&R is important as well, and so we have lots of different avenues to do so. We have an amazing team of people on the ground that help make sure that we have all different kinds of entertainment available to us, the ability to call our families and people on the ground. And then, of course, the most fun activity we can do up here is look out the window. Watching the Earth go by just does not get old.
I imagine. I want to ask you about sort of the news of the day having to do with the space station, which is Russia's announcement that they are no longer, when I guess their side of the contract is up in 2024, they want to pull out. Talk us through how important the partnership is with Russia. What is your day-to-day interaction with cosmonauts?
Absolutely. You know, the international piece of the International Space Station is such an important part of what makes the ISS function and as successful as it has been and will continue to be. Our international partners are what makes the station run. We have our European Space Agency astronauts and team of folks on the ground. We have Samantha Cristoforetti as one of our crew members on Crew 4, as well as the CSA, Canadian Space Agency, the Japanese Space Agency, and then our Russian colleagues as well. And so that international cooperation is really what makes the ISS great, and that interdependency amongst each other for our different expertise, our different experiences, our different even just equipment and resources is what allows us to accomplish this great thing and these great things that we're able to do on the ISS that we would not be able to do alone.
Can the space station go on if Russia pulls out next year or in 2 years?
You know, NASA is certainly committed to the goal of continuing the life of the space station out through 2030, and I am confident in the teams of folks at NASA and in our other international partners to continue that cooperation to keep ISS running.
You're the first Black woman in space for America. The significance of you being this role model, you being this pioneer, and the importance of it to you?
Yeah, you know, I think this kind of milestone comes as a result of and as a tribute to the women astronauts and the Black women astronauts who came before me and laid the foundation. There have been several Black women astronauts who have gone to space. This just happens to be the first time a long-duration mission. But I think it is also, as well as a tribute to that legacy, it is also a testament to the exciting future ahead. And I think as NASA continues to pursue exploring deeper into our solar system, I just am honored to be a small part of that exciting legacy.
You know, our first astronauts almost all had to come from the fighter pilots school of thought. Now, of course, as more experiments are necessary in space, as we do more, there's a wider expanse of folks. You're a geologist. It's obvious why having a geologist with the ability to live in space is necessary. What other occupations do you expect NASA to tap into to go to the space station with you to help, say, solve climate change?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and you're absolutely right that we need people from all different experiences and backgrounds and expertise to help push us forward and to innovate, and especially as we start to work towards going to the moon and eventually to Mars, we are going to need all different kinds of skill sets. So you mentioned scientists, so scientists of all types, especially up here on the International Space Station. What we do day in, day out, as we kind of mentioned, is science, and science of all kinds. We do biological science, physical science, thinking of combustion and material science, as well as looking at human research. So one of my crewmates, Kjell Lindgren, is an emergency physician. And having a doctor aboard, certainly on the ISS, as well as we start to think about even longer duration missions, is going to be a really important role to have filled, just for the safety of the crew, and as we start to learn more about how the human body responds to microgravity and long duration space flight. We will certainly need engineers, as we always have, as we continue to maintain the space station, and certainly in the future we'll have equipment that needs to be maintained as well as just all kinds of people that we will be needing on the ground as well. We end up kind of being the tip of the spear of an amazing team of people on the ground at all of our different NASA centers and our international partners. And each one of those locations, each one of those teams needs a whole team of experts in their associated fields. So we are certainly looking for help from all different corners of the world.
When it comes to whether we'll get to Mars, is that something that you hope happens in your lifetime to the point where you may be a candidate?
I certainly look forward to the day that humans set foot on Mars. For me personally, I'm a planetary geologist, and I did most of my research on Mars and looking at the geology of the surface of Mars. So to be able to have the opportunity to kind of marry up my research that we've done from afar with in situ, boots on the ground research at some point in the future is just super exciting for me as a geologist and as a member of the Astronaut Corps.
I'm curious, when it comes to humans going to Mars, is this years away or decades away?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we have, as an agency, have put that more in the time frame of several years to maybe a decade. But we certainly are excited about going forward to the moon as kind of a stepping stone towards Mars. We can develop and build technologies that will help get us towards Mars and help create some of those operational pathways as well. We can learn a lot from having an outpost on the moon that I think will allow us to get closer and closer to Mars.
You know, it's interesting when it comes to the International Space Station. It feels like the moon is actually a natural home for an international hub for Earth. Is that what we're hoping to build with our next our next sort of aspect of going to the moon?
Yes, absolutely. NASA's Artemis program is the program that will be leading us to the moon. We'll have our first launch, actually, Artemis 1, coming up just this summer in August. So we are super excited about that next month. Be the first step in several missions of going to the moon. And that will absolutely be an international endeavor. We have already acquired the commitment of several international partners, and just like the International Space Station, it is going to require an international cooperation, an international effort to make that happen. So we are super excited about doing that with our colleagues.
Did you always know you wanted to be in space?
Being in space is certainly something that I dreamed about from a pretty young age. I'm not sure it was ever something that I thought would really come to fruition and actually happen, but it is a true privilege and an honor to be able to be here today. And it is only the case because of the amazing mentors and support that I have had the pleasure of having along the way.
Well, speak to your teenage self. What would you advise to somebody who may be a teenager right now who is looking at you and going, I want to be Jessica. I want to do what she's doing. How do you do it?
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit earlier about how we are going to need people from all different expertise, all different backgrounds. And so because of that, I would say find something that you're passionate about. There is no manual. There are no check boxes that have to be done in order to be here. We just want you and find something that you're passionate about and just continue to pursue that relentlessly and continue to dream big. You never know when those dreams will come true.
You know, it's interesting in the world of politics and journalism, I'll watch a movie or a depiction and I'll say, that's true, that's not true, etc. Now that you've been in space and you've spent so much time in space, the movies that we all fall in love with, you know, forget Star Wars, but I'm thinking like Mars and some of these other nearer term, which of these fictionalized programs do the best job of depicting what life is like up there?
Yeah, you know, I think each of them have, you know, different aspects that maybe are more representative than others. For me personally, for several reasons, I think The Martian does a pretty good job. For one, as a geologist, they get the rocks pretty close. They do a good job with the landscapes there, so that wins several points in my book. But I think also just kind of the representation of the interaction with NASA and how that kind of communication goes is really true to how we interact with the ground team on a day-to-day basis. We rely on them and work together with them every day.
I'm curious, the images we're seeing from the Webb telescope, how much of that are you working on? How much of that are you taking some of these images and doing stuff with it, or is that a separate program and you're a voyeur like us right now with these images?
Yeah, closer to the latter. We are taking them all in and enjoying them just like everyone else around the world. They are absolutely amazing, difficult to wrap your head around, and certainly there is, you know, some perspective being up here just a little bit closer to some of those galaxies that are light years away. It really takes your breath away, and just super exciting, super proud and happy for the James Webb team. It's just amazing.
All right, I got two more questions for you. So one is about life in space, which is, what's something you thought was going to be the case that has turned out not to be true?
That's interesting. I think one of the things that was kind of the most surprising, or kind of was the most kind of thing that I had to adapt to a bit, is the fact that so much of what we do up here actually is very familiar. We have amazing training teams on the ground, amazing mock-ups that are mock-ups of the full volume of both the inside and the outside of the ISS. And so when we arrive here, it actually feels very familiar. It is hardware that we have put hands on before. It is spaces that we have found ourselves in previously. But at the same time, it is one of the most unfamiliar environments that we can find ourselves in. And so just, you know, being in microgravity, learning to float, learning to, you know, think in 3 dimensions. And so that kind of juxtaposition of very familiar, but at the same time extremely unfamiliar, I think was surprising to me.
Now let's talk about, besides family and close friends who I'm sure you miss and miss that interaction with, is there a food? Is there a place? What are you missing and longing for the most right now?
Yeah, you know, definitely We have awesome food up here. We have a great team of people that work really hard to ensure that we have the nutrition that we need, that our bodies are getting what they need to have good bone and muscle health up here. But there's definitely food that we miss up here. We already have a list of all the places we'll hit up when we get back.
Jessica Watkins, live from the International Space Station. This was an honor. Thanks for representing all of us so well in outer space.
Thank you so much for your time.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you to all participants from Meet the Press Now. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.